Welcome everyone to ImpactFest and to this Living with Floods session. I am Sandra Jaipal from the Dutch Coalition for Humanitarian Innovation, DCHI, and I will be your main moderator for today. I have a newcomer. With this session, the Netherlands Red Cross and DCHI hopes to inspire you, hopes to share our knowledge on innovation management, establish some new connections, but most of all, we hope you join our Living with Floods challenge. Let me share my screen again to show and do a quick rundown on what's on the agenda for today. Next. After a short introduction on my part, Michelle Bex, the business owner for Living with Floods, is going to share the story behind it. There will be an opportunity for a short Q&A, and then it's going to be time to divide the group into breakout sessions. We are hosting 2 breakout sessions. One will be on how to manage successful ideas within the local context, the Mozambican context. And the second breakout room is going to be about how do you bring your idea further? How do you test it? We'll do a plenary wrap up, and then it's time to say goodbye. Oh, for those that just joined us, please click on the link in the chat and share your email address so you can receive all the information that is being shared today. And if you already have a preference for a specific breakout room, you can also mention that and put it in the form. And we will try to assign you accordingly. But we also prefer to have a more equal distribution over both breakouts, so no guarantees. Sharing. Yes. So it's good to see some familiar faces. So again, welcome. Why are we here? For the past 10 years, the need for humanitarian aid has increased. It has become more complex. Complicating factors revolve around distributed expertise in the sector, lack of proper research and development, the lack of sharing this knowledge and the solutions, what works. Yes, thank you, Johan. It raises many complex challenges that we believe cannot be resolved by one actor alone. It needs a more collaborative way of working. DCHI strives to connect these actors. It strives to build knowledge, share knowledge on innovations and scale it. And we help these actors collaborate via our accelerator programs. The Living with Floods challenge is actually part of one of our accelerator programs we are facilitating this year. And it has a distinct open innovation character, and specifically designed to go across the boundaries of the Netherlands Red Cross and to tap into the brightest minds and expertise out there and out of the sector, to create a new influx of ideas and thus to create more impact. For more about the story of Living with Floods, I present Michelle Bex, the business owner from the Netherlands Red Cross. Michelle, the floor is yours. And if you will have questions, you can put them in the chat. There will be opportunity to answer a couple of them.
Good morning. Welcome. Yeah, I'm Michelle Bex. I'm working for the Netherlands Red Cross. We're actually in the Netherlands Red Cross building, and we are socially distanced, which is a bit weird, but we are 1.5 meters apart. And I've just switched to Standard's computer, so I can't operate the small PowerPoint I have prepared for you, but Sandra will do this for me. So Sandra, if you can click the next one, I'll explain to you what I want to talk you through. It should be taking about 10-15 minutes. I wanted to highlight to you all actually why we are here, why are we doing this, and just explain a bit to you where we're coming from and where we're at this moment, and then finally what's to come still. And that should be rounding off the presentation, and then we'll move into the Q&A. So as to why, next slide please, Sandra. One more click. Yeah. So I actually would like to answer it with a question. Of course, the Red Cross is very well known for being there whenever there's disaster, but why should we wait until a disaster strikes? Because actually a lot of things can happen already before. And this is especially true in natural disasters such as flooding, whereby a lot of measures can be taken as a precaution already. And this is one of the things we really want to get better in as a Red Cross, being there before, during and after a disaster. And next please. So what we would like to achieve is basically moving from waiting for large-scale measures, which we know it takes a long time for that to materialize, providing short-term humanitarian aid and coming in with external solutions. We want to bring it to the local level. We do think we can act on a flood problem right here, right now. Work with local actors, local solutions. And that's really what we'd like to achieve through this innovation cycle. Next. So a lot of you might recognize this, this picture. You may think, wow, that's quite some flooding. This is what happened during Idai. But actually, if you click to the next one, Sandra, this happened in 2017. And if we move to the next slide, that's where we see Idai. So basically what we see is a situation that repeats itself over and over again. Idai, yes, is extreme. Yet in 2017, the flooding was pretty much the same in terms of area. So that really indicates to us that more can be done and more should be done. Next. So where are we now? Myself, I've been working in Mozambique quite some time ago, 97 to 99. And even in 99, at some stage, I did get stuck as well due to flooding when I was on my way from Maputo to Chimoio. So I had to actually stay overnight and then cross the river with all my colleagues and everybody who's in the bus. And that was quite an experience. Then I came back in 2013, flooding as well, Chockway. And I was in the Beira area again in 2019 for the humanitarian response right after Idai. So in the picture, you actually see myself, or you don't see myself, you see my colleagues. And this is one of the areas some of you might recognize it. This is in Java. And we were working on the cholera response. So then next, Sandra. I had an opportunity to go back again to Mozambique in February this year. And we were invited by the Mozambican Red Cross to do a scoping mission. And what you see here again is in a community in Dondo. And there's water everywhere, and it's every year. So what I saw in March repeats itself again in February 2020. So this is where we said this can be done differently. Next, please. So from February onwards, this is where we started shaping the contours of where we are now. So we labeled it as living with floods, and it took us some time to kickstart it. And by May, we started to get more visible, and then eventually in September, next, is when we kicked off the challenge as you see it right now, and that's really why we are here today. Next. I can't even know. Just a sec. So at this stage, where what you see is that we are in what we call the aviation stages. So we are collecting all different ideas, and already by having by talking to you and having you in this group, we start also seeing, spotting the opportunities around those ideas. Next. So what's to come? First of all, we are working towards a marketplace. It's very likely that's going to be largely virtual due to the circumstances. And that's where we will provide all of you an opportunity to also showcase your ideas. And then the next. Towards March, we want to be at the local level. To provide an opportunity for the top ideas to work on those ideas in the area around data. And next, you can just show them all at the same time. Indicators of success. So I was asked to highlight those a bit, because throughout the process, we see a lot of opportunities for you as a group, for those that have already submitted ideas or those that are thinking of submitting those ideas. So throughout this whole process, but definitely starting right now and towards the marketplace, there will be opportunities to really expose your idea and also get the feedback to improve it. And towards March, when we will be able to work with those top ideas, there will be again the opportunity to get this local grounding, local knowledge, and again improve the idea. And what we also hope is that by linking up local with global partners, that you will also benefit in basically improving your ideas and establishing those new connections. And that may lead to what we call the business opportunity, which sounds big, but in the end, that's what we do hope that to get out of it for the idea to go, and also to see how it can be validated more in the breakout session. And in the end, of course, we want to bring your idea closer to a solution. And you hear me talking a lot about ideas, and this is really important because we want to keep it in the problem and the idea space as long as possible, so that we will have the time to reshape that idea into a solution that works locally. And that's all. So I think there's some time. Oh, this picture, well, this is one I took in 2013 in Chokwe. And people, I always say they're not empty vessels, they're not going to wait for help. So I met these children in their school, and you can just see they start cleaning up their schools. The water has risen to, well, I think over 2 meters. And this is the daily life. This is where people really, they want to pick it up. And that's also, I think, what is living with floods is about, tapping into, these local needs and desires, and working together with the different members in the community. I think we need to switch places again now. Yes, please.
Michelle, could you stop sharing your screen? So maybe a little background on what is happening here. Since I forgot to mention in the introduction, we have a small camera crew here at the premises. We're making a documentary on an accelerator program, on the process of an accelerator program. So that is why We're experiencing some technical difficulties. But I hope you got the gist of Michel's story behind living with floods. And I'm wondering whether we have some questions. And if you forgot to put them in the chat, you can you have the time to ask them out loud. Is everything clear on the process, or?
Yeah. So I actually have one question. This is Isa from the Jerrycan filter. I saw that the piloting of product is scheduled in 2019. Is that correct, or should it be 2021?
Should be 2021.
Ah, okay.
Maybe that's
so you're still planning to do the piloting of the top products or top ideas, I think it was mentioned.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because the slide said 2019. But then that's good to know. Thanks.
I had to switch on my mic again. But,
yeah.
no, this is
that's just a small typo.
Can you hear me actually when I'm talking? Can somebody say yes? Okay, then I'll keep my mic switched off and I just engage. Yeah, okay,
great.
Thanks.
So yes, after the marketplace and the two top ideas are chosen, we're going to take some time to shape that partnership, shape the pilots, and hopefully in March, April, we would like to start with 2 different pilots for next year. Yeah.
And another question. This is
yes, Olivier.
From Jerrycan filter. Well, these solutions have to come from problems, like big problems you encounter over there. Do you have a clear overview of where the local problems are at the moment during floods?
Michel.
Yeah, well, as you can make up out of what we call the how might we question, there are 2 areas that popped up during our research, and one is on anticipation and the other one is on acting. And the anticipation is very much about how people are born. Do they know what's coming at them? And we do see that there's still a lot of unknowns there, and that there's a lot of ideas as well of how to improve that, and challenges also. And Johan will also highlight some of them in the next session. And the other one is on acting. So what can you do yourself already beforehand? So that there's so many ways of how you would be able to make sure that your compounds are not flooded less. It will be very difficult, even in those circumstances, to really avoid flooding at all times. But there are ways of how people can in a smarter way work on solutions together. So we're really looking at those kind of locally appropriate ideas. And yeah, obviously that would be the water domain. So I think there's scope for both. So it's not that we're typically looking at these measures or ideas that you would expect when we are there on day 1 when something happens, like after Eli, that we would then be coming in and rebuilding infrastructure. This is very much about what can we already do beforehand for community to increase their flood resilience. So I hope that answers your question, Olivier.
Yes, thank you.
One of the questions we received from several organizations interested in the challenge, and perhaps will be interesting to share, is we've been asked what type of innovations are we looking for? Are they specific products, services? Do they have to be completely new, or might it be an existing idea we would like to pilot, maybe in a new context of Mozambique? And the answer to that is we're looking very, very broadly. We're interested in both products, services, new and existing, that might make the difference for these communities at risk. Michelle, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah. We understand that many innovations are in different stages of their, viability, and so what we see in some of the ideas that we've received, or during the virtual office hours that we've held with some of you, is that there are different needs for bringing that idea 1 or 2 steps further. And we do provide that space as well. So we do understand that for some, it's really about getting somewhat more proof of the concept itself, while others are still somewhat more in the experimental stage, and might just want to focus on a piece of testing a part of the approach. And I think there's value in both or various scenarios. And we do encourage you to be a bit specific on where is the innovation at, but the space, we do allow that space, because we do recognize that it's really about bringing that idea 1 step closer to the solution, as I said during the presentation. So, we do embrace that width of your submissions of the ideas. Any more questions?
Perhaps we could share some of the ideas we have around matchmaking and partner opportunities. That's also a question we've received from a few of you. As of now, we are not, we don't have a platform that will automatically partner you up with organizations, capabilities, and skills you are looking for. But there is an opportunity when you submit your idea. At the end of the form, there's just this open field, text field. And if you are convinced, I have this great idea, but I am missing certain skills or expertise, just let us know, because we have a complete overview of parties that are looking into these opportunities, and we might be able to match you up. It does involve some open communication towards us. Michelle, is that correct?
Yeah, just to add, I mean, it's many people believe that the innovation, the holy grail of innovation is scale, and scale is important indeed, because it proves that your innovation is adopted at the local level and hopefully also beyond. And a lot of partnerships, which I see even within our own organization, they focus on that part, and the thinking is always very, very big from the onset, and it involves a lot of resources, a lot of investment of your time, and often the budgets that are involved with that are very big, and the partnerships complex. And it's always good to have that vision. What do I want to achieve, and how what's my market basically. But at the same time, this call is not per se to come to that level, to that scale. It is again really a step towards it, and allowing you also to then get that moment and increase that network. And that might be knowledge institutes. We are also working with some universities here, Wageningen, Delft, etc. So there's quite easy linkages that we could establish. But also, of course, the donor environment is quite rich in the Netherlands and also beyond that. And that's where we really want to take our time the coming few months to explore all these different, well, networks of partners. But I think it's really good to keep in mind that you know, you're not at this stage looking for these multi-million-dollar kind of collaborations. I think that is a step beyond the small and beautiful environment that we would like to create. It would lead to it, but it's not the holy grail. Sandra, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I think if you don't have any more questions, we might be able to switch over to the breakout sessions somewhat earlier. At least that will be the case for breakout room number 1, since we already have Johan available here in the room. I am looking into whether Christiaan can join us somewhat earlier. But I'll do a short introduction on both of the experts that are going to facilitate these breakout rooms. And if you haven't made your choice yet for what breakout room, you can do so in a few moments. So for the first breakout room on ideas within the local context, we've invited Johan Boerekamp, Managing Director of NIRAS Consulting Mozambique, who has over 30 years of experience in managing projects in developing countries, and 27 of those in Mozambique. So he can share lots of in and outs on the Mozambican context and what works there. So if you're interested in that, definitely opt for breakout room number 1. For breakout room 2, shortly Christiaan Glerum from INNOFEST is going to join us. And Christiaan is an innovation and validation expert. He has over 10 years of experience in supporting small-scale startups and also for complex public-private innovation programs. He's the guy you go to for inspiration on how do I test my business idea in a smart and efficient way. So take a couple of moments to jot down your preference for the breakout room if you haven't already. And then colleague Birgit will at least start with the breakout room number 1. Isn't that right, Birgit?
Yeah, let's start them both together.
Ah, both together. Okay.
You know.
Okay. Let me check whether I can.
That means you will have to do
Yeah, that's.
Can I interrupt and introduce myself in the meantime while you choose? I think the idea is that you, in the chat, write down your preference for a breakout session now to all the candidates here. I think that was the idea. My name is, I'm Ellen de Bruyne. I'm the project lead of the challenge, the Living with Floods challenge. I'm not in the same room as my colleagues at the moment. I'm at home, which is too far away from The Hague for me to travel there today. I wanted to come back to the question that Eise van Manen had from the jerrycan filter. He was asking about the planning. There was a mistake in the presentation. It should be 2021, I mean. March, April, we're going to start the pilot. I just wanted to add that prior to the pilot, because a few of the submissions we had are from Holland, I wanted to say that prior to the pilot, we will have a mission to Mozambique also with the 2 selected ideas. We already want to start partnership and introduce you there to the local partners we have. That's something that we finance from the budget we have for this project. Yeah, I think it's an important addition to what has been said already, because it means that we really want to emphasize the partnership and also want to emphasize the local partners we have and involve them in fine tuning and yeah, the ideas that we have. I don't see anything in the chat. Please send your preference to which breakout session you want to participate, and then I give it back to you, Sandra.
Thank you for clarifying that, Alan. Yeah, that's indeed worthwhile to know. Yes, I can see that group 1 is being assigned. So the plenary virtual room will become smaller. I know that Christiaan is going to join us in like 6 minutes. Hopefully he'll catch my message a little bit sooner. But for breakout room number 1, I hope you enjoy your session and see you in 45 minutes.
Ja, ik ga nu naar die kamer.
Yes.
Ja. Nou, succes.
Beetje
vervelend dat geluid, hè? Nou ja.
So is it correct that everybody that is now still in the plenary room is interested in breakout? No. Okay. Hey, hallo Christiaan.
Hey, hi.
Jij en ik gaan nu naar breakout room nummer 2.
Oké.
Birgit gaat ons daarvoor uitnodigen. Oh, ja. Kan ik hem joinen? Even kijken, maar Christiaan die moet...
Als ik nu op join klik, dan ga ik... En dan zitten er deelnemers er al in, neem ik aan.
Ja, klopt.
Oké.
Yes, zie je zo.
Helemaal goed.
Even kijken. Birgit, hoe ga ik dan naar... Ja, maar die heb ik weggeklikt, omdat we met allerlei andere dingen bezig waren. Join breakout room, yes.
communities are heavily involved in that, and the radius communitarius. Yeah? They are involved. So yes, they still exist, still work.
Radio commentarios, for those that don't know Mozambique very well.
Excuse me?
Radio commentarios. What are those?
Well, there's a system in Mozambique where you have community radios. Yeah. So in in a bureau or small village, you have a community radio, as they call it, where they pronounce news or give information on what's going on, and these are also used as early warning systems, etc. So you can make.
Is this an answer to your question, Isa?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Great.
But it's mostly products catered to the Western market, or.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah, definitely, because most entrepreneurs are from Holland, and they look into products that are in their own understanding and world of living. Yeah.
Chris,
right.
is it possible to ask some more questions, or do you want to do that at the end?
Yes, it's definitely possible. So let's use the energy to get the questions right now, because I want to jump into your ideas as well, and we have 10 more minutes. So maybe we can do a small Q&A of 2 minutes, and then jump into the Jamboard.
All right.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So thanks. It was very clear. My first question is, do you also test intangible services? So what I see right now is a lot of technical products, but do you also test intangible services? Definitely.
I understand the question, and there are no examples of this in this presentation. But one of the products we tested this year was a service, which is a technical an app, which sells your car seat. So it's a carpool app. It's called Slinger, which is a service and which is tested with people traveling to events.
Yeah.
So yes, there are lots of great examples of this, but I understand the question, and the testing at home product. It's a lot harder to test services which are very conceptual, harder to understand than having a product in your hand, which you can see, which you can feel, which you can taste. So this presents problems in the testing at home product. Yeah.
I have one more question. So I see a lot of startups, a lot of entrepreneurs. Maybe I missed it in your presentation. I was curious, do you also work with corporates to test their potential innovations and prototypes?
Yeah, but not as much as we want to. So we have a cooperation with T-Mobile, and we are looking into working with Heineken to test their sustainable innovations in event sites. This is something we started developing in the beginning of this year, the phase we are in right now is not the best one to start selling your products to corporates. Yeah, but this is one of the ambitions we definitely have, because I see a lot of potential in just testing out what they have been thinking of, getting out of the building. That's one of the things that we one of our mantras.
Yeah, understand. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So I will drop the Jamboard link again. I hope this is the good one, the right one. Yes. So please all jump to the Jamboard again, and I will share my screen. Secondly, the question on the next frame, the frame number 2. You can jump into frame number 2. Is very short, so please take 20-30 seconds. Have you ever performed a living lab test, and what did you learn? So again, you can use the bar on the left to add sticky notes. Not yet. That's great. And I've added my own learning from multiple tests, of course. You can read it in the screen. It's the aha moments that count. So you have an assumptions, you have a test case, and you have a testing question, but you get so much more. The aha moments that guide you into new directions. These are so important. Not the most important one, but these are important. All right, I see no. Don't have experience. So far, I ask users directly and improve my product repeatedly, which is a great way to get feedback, of course. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to quickly move into the next frame, which is about your ID. You are involved with the challenge, living with floods. You have IDs. ISO had one a great ID. So I'm asking you if you have an ID or concept that you are passionate about at this moment. Can you please use the sticky note to put it on the screen and take a minute to get your input there.
Okay, well, one of the main issues is, of course, Mozambique. It's a less economic developed country. Yeah, so Mozambique still, in this case, they still depend a lot on donor international aid for this. So first of all, and it's a very vast, big country. Yeah? As you can see, and as I explained, from south to north, it's 3,000 kilometers. At this moment, Mozambique has 30 million inhabitants. So it's not that densely populated, only in the main urban areas like Maputo, Matola, Beira, Nampula, yeah, in the bigger cities. So to have those measures, I also showed you. Okay, we have the soft engineering, we have the hard engineering, yeah, dams protection, river protection, etc. These are very costly interventions and very costly projects to realize. Yeah, and then still with these very costly projects, you relatively might reach not that many people. Yeah. So this is one of the important issues. Capacity, yeah, management capacity. Have to have the people who know to deal with floods. What measurements can you take? It's another dilemma. I think. Coordination, introducing of laws or what is it, regulations, which takes time. So yeah, I think all kinds of reasons for this. Yeah? In the Netherlands, okay, how much do we spend on dike and protection, the rivers, etc. Yeah. It's fortunes. Yeah. In Mozambique, simply we don't have the money available to do so.
Even in the Netherlands, it did take decade to shift that, because we have
Yes.
a whole program called Space for the Rivers, and it also it's the same realization that yeah, you will have to adapt, and you cannot just kind of protect yourself continuously, take out all the risks. I'm just looking at the time. We have about 1 or 2 more minutes, but in the plenary, we'll have a bit more time for any other burning questions. And of course, we have the virtual office hours. So definitely you'll still be able to reach out to us or directly to Johan, if you're okay, Johan.
Yeah.
But I think I can take one more question.
Well, if no one else has, I can also ask, but somebody else could go, of course, if they wanted to.
Go ahead.
Did someone raise their hand? Oh, no, someone else. So yeah, my question, because we've been talking a lot about the differences of the diverse socioeconomic backgrounds within Mozambique. So for the Living with Floods project, are you hoping to focus on a particular socioeconomic group, or is that still something you're thinking about? Because I'm realizing it's really two different, even though the solutions can be similar, they definitely can't be one solution fits all. So it needs to be tweaked and adapted. So is it that you are looking at both or one, or which is it?
It's a very good question. In my experience, vulnerability is a very big container begrip, as we say. So it's something which is not very still specific. And I think the more specific you are in terms of who do you want to reach through the idea and the solution, the more relevant it becomes. And I think also the easier it will be in the end to pilot. So, I'm really in favor of, in the end, having an idea with a very clear, say, user segment of the market. So we're not looking for reaching 10 or 20,000 people. It's about having an idea that works for that particular segment. So this is why I was saying that the thing about going to the rooftops. So it might be that you very specifically focus on children or the elderly. And so for me, the more you can drill down to it, the better it is.
Okay.
That would be my answer.
And I think also, Michael, well, we focused a little bit on, I gave that example of early warning system, but you also can, the other aspects, what we briefly addressed, forestation, management, water management, that kind of issues. It's also something, of course, to think about. Yeah, you can, with a good water management in this, and I told you that they are working on it. There is now our groups and initiatives between the several countries also to get the river water managed better than they do now. Yeah. So having a good management and a good river management, that can save hundreds of lives, of course. Yeah? So that also very important. Then it's not that visible, but that is the regulations, management, and making agreements between countries, when you're going to open the dam, how are you going to do that, what are the maximum water quantities of water that you can disperse, let's say, that kind of things. So okay, you could also think perhaps in those issues.
Yeah, I recognize that as well, Johan. I think even the 2013 flood in Chokwe was actually caused by opening up a dam somewhere in, I think, South Africa or Zimbabwe. So it was actually a man-made flood. And it's just by the political change is also quite desired. But we do know that's also quite difficult and it's a longer term process. And even for early warning, I should say, there's still the gap, I think, to reaching the communities and people most in need. And that's, I think, is a really I think we heard some really good suggestions and think points of attention, especially about literacy rate, what kind of phone, the coverage of the networks, And I think there's so many challenges still ahead to actually come to a valuable solution. And with that, I would actually like to wrap it up. And I think if you leave the session, you'll get back to the main group again. Yeah, I'll moving you back in 1 minute. So we're perfectly on time. So thanks a lot for sharing, Johan, and thank you for your questions. And yeah, do write them down. Do reach out to us if you have any more questions for clarification to improve your idea. So with that, I'm leaving the room. So I hope you do too, and we'll see you in a minute or two. Yep. Cool.
Yep.
Thank you, Johan, for your presentation.
Yep, you're welcome.
So did you, I don't know if you can hear me, but did you find it interesting, the local context?
Yes, definitely. Because
Yeah.
it's really hard to imagine what people need if you don't have any understanding of the local context.
No.
Yeah,
And I think
definitely.
Johan was really, he explained really well what people run into, what the problems are, where opportunities are, and what's already being done. So that really helps to put it a bit in perspective and to create sort of a context for your ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, when you submit the ideas, we're going to share them with the local partner who understands better, obviously, what's already been done in the field and where they can connect. So we're really trying to find the connection between the idea and also fine tune on what is necessary in the field and what is capable in the field, what is feasible, because it's really important to not do something that's already been done or tried, but to find something what is missing or where we can improve the current system. So that's something that we want to do in the partnership phase, to find the connection. And actually we're already doing it now, because here we have the local experts or local people that have knowledge of the situation there joining us to speak and to explain to you what's the situation in the field.
Who's the local partner, Ellen?
We are working with IFRC at the moment, and the IFRC and we haven't managed to get the CFM in, the Mozambican Red Cross. There's a meeting planned for this week, next week with them. So it's going to go through the Red Cross Society, the Federation, the IFRC.
So we're all back in the plenary virtual room. I hope you've enjoyed your breakout session, had some great discussions, and maybe gained some new insights. We're going to do the wrap up a little bit backwards, since I know that Christiaan, you have another session to host in less than 15 minutes. For breakout room number 2, the focus was on validation of your business idea. And what stuck out to me the most was testing is really an exercise in reflection. You can't just throw your product or service under the nose of users or customers and just see what happens. You have to really reflect on what it is you would like to learn. What resonated with me the most, Christiaan, was what you said. It is all about the aha moments. You can test all you want, but it's all about doing something with the data you have gathered. Having the guts to say, okay, the data I've collected is telling me something maybe I rather not know, but how am I going to act on it? It's all about those aha moments. So, yeah. Did I summarize that correctly, Christiaan, or would you like to add something?
No, definitely that's one of the main things that I've learned over the past couple of years experimenting and testing with the innovators and entrepreneurs that we take into the field, into the living labs. They prepare very well. Of course, we guide them and we have experience in preparation, but they do it as well because it's their idea, it's their test, so they are very motivated. But it's always once the test is done after the living lab or after the festival that we speak with them and they say, "Ah, this is so valuable because I didn't know I needed to bring duct tape," or some of these small these small learnings they gather from the field. They are so important. So this is the most important part of the testing, is the aha moment, you getting out of the building and going into the real life locations comparable with your end market, that gets the most valuable feedback. So thank you very much. Yes.
Well, I'm not sure whether you are going to leave the session right now, or do you have a couple of minutes before leaving?
I have a couple of minutes. I'm not the host of the other session, but I have to join.
So Michel, over to you for the wrap up of breakout room number 1.
Yeah, I'll keep my mic off again. Can somebody put a thumbs up if you can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thumbs up. All right. Yeah, we started off with a very interesting presentation by Johan, and what stuck to me really is that flooding is part of the daily life in Mozambique. Johan said there were at least 46 reported flood events over the past 30 years. So that's quite a considerable number. And then we zoomed in a bit on what can be done. And there's a distinction between, say, hard and soft measures. So you can think about embankments, drainage, but also things like early warning systems, which is a bit more of the soft engineering. And Johan showed us something very simple that worked. It's like a very easy device that you can put in communities and then kind of sends through sensors a warning to communities when flood hits a certain level. And it had been shared as well, and it was really found very replicable, quite simple, and it did draw in local people to adopt, embrace that technology. Then we had luckily quite some time to discuss as well, which was someone's question really about, the why are there so many people, although there's so much done on early warning, why are messages still not reached on time, and why are people still not be able to take the right measures? And yeah, we kind of recognized that there's scope for improvement, and both in the rural and the urban areas, but acknowledging that need for improvement is different for both areas. So while in rural areas it's more about access, can I get out, how do I have the means to get out, and in urban it's about having so many people to get out at one place. So the problems are very different, which I found really fascinating to hear. And then we got in a very interesting part where I'm just going to pick up a few of the highlights. One of the things, for example, you should mention was about the use of the reach of phones. And we all recognize that there are smartphones, but there's also still a lot of people that use these really simple Nokia type of things. And they, while everybody desires the smartphone, the Nokia also has a function because the battery is just longer, for example. So people make conscious decisions on that. So, and it also relates to literacy rates. So are people actually able to absorb, for example, the information that's kind of just emitted through the smartphones or even the simple phones? And then we came also to the importance of radios, which is still very widespread in Mozambique. There are even community radios that are managed from the local level.
and then also used for the early warning systems or any other information that needs to reach the population. So there's many ways of how you can communicate at the local level, even in rural areas. Yeah, and then finally a bit on local solutions. Even people themselves, although since flooding is such a regular part of people's life, we do hear that especially in urban areas, people kind of just, they can't go anywhere, but in their house, they would just build it up. They sleep on crates or tables and just get through the night because the water is only 10 or 20 centimeters, you know, in the house, but it's there. And in the worst case, in areas where you can't go, people would spend days even on rooftops. And just to round it off, there was an interesting question, I think, about, you know, who are then the vulnerable people? You know, is that do you want us to really be a bit more specific about that? And I actually recommend that would be a really good thing to zoom in as much as possible on your, say, user segment. So who do you really want to reach through your different measures, your different products or services you want to offer within that community? And I think that wraps it up. Very interesting, lively, small group, but very lively.
Sounds great. Let me do a quick share of the final slide. So I hope you can see that. Yeah. So if after this session you still have some specific questions, we are in the upcoming week still hosting virtual office hours for the challenge on living with floods every Wednesday. Shoot the team an email to livingwithfloods@redcross.nl. And if you're interested in learning more about the challenge, or if you're ready to submit, check out the website of DCHI. I would like to thank Johan and Christiaan again for carving out the time and to share your expertise on these breakout sessions. And interesting to know is that the INNOFEST method, it will be published in a white paper later this year. And if you haven't connected with Christiaan, shoot an email to me and we'll make sure you get a copy of that. Yeah, I think that's a wrap. Oh, no, I forgot the selfie. As is custom, I like to take a selfie after every interactive workshop. So put your happy face on. Yes.
We can also do a virtual high five like this. Everybody is like, this works, right?
That's a nice. Another one. Nice. Thank you for the suggestion, Christiaan.
You have the picture?
Yeah, great. It worked out great. Thank you, everybody, for participating and contributing to this session, and looking forward to your questions and your submissions. Have a great day.
Well done, Sandra, Michelle.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody.